What's up, music fans of the internet? I'm Kevin.
I'm Derek.
And together we are last week's album, The Only Reviews, with two different views. And in this episode, we're talking about the new album by the Avett Brothers called True Sadness and exploring the question, how will the Avett Brothers' True Sadness make you feel? Let's get into it. Cheers, Derek, and everyone at home.
Cheers, Kevin, everyone at home.
The Avett Brothers are an Americana band originally from North Carolina. This is their 9th studio album, and it is produced by the one and only Rick Rubin, as have a few of their past albums in recent years. Let's talk about what it sounds like. Derek, what do you think?
Kevin, on True Sadness, I think the Avett Brothers sound like Queen and Ryan Adams come together and take a page out of Beyonce's book and turn lemons into lemonade.
Wow, a lot of references I didn't see coming there. I think it sounds like the Avett Brothers console themselves with pop, industrial, and psychedelia.
Nice. I hear many of those as well.
All right, well, let's get into some highlights. Derek, what did you think worked well on the album?
Well, on one hand, I thought there were a lot of songs that didn't sound like your classic Avett Brothers, and I thought they still worked well. One in particular, the opening track, Ain't No Man, features this blasting boot stomping and hand clapping percussion, this funky jamming bass line, and an incredibly infectious sing-along chorus, especially those first two elements, one in their typical wheelhouse, but I thought they still put it together very well.
There are definitely some new elements on this album. I think the Avett Brothers have been toying with new sounds the past few albums, and this one is probably, the most adventurous or ambitious that I can recall. I think some of those new things work out well. Satan Pulls the Strings, for me, was pretty jarring at first, but really, really grew on me. It sounds like the Avett Brothers teamed up with 9 Inch Nails, and somehow it works.
I thought that one sounded like country psych rock, and the fiddles were fiddling damn near out of control.
And also May It Last. They bring in some psychedelic effects, sort of give it this Pink Floyd vibe. And again, at first, it's like, what is going on here? But over time, I think it really works out well.
I also thought there were some more classic sounding Avett Brothers songs. Smithsonian, I thought, was an example of that. It kind of features some strings, acoustic guitar. I thought this really sounded like a more upbeat I in Love and You, but they really just exchanged hilarious tongue-in-cheek one-liners. And this just in, little known fact, the Avett Brothers are kind of good.
There's definitely some classic Avett Brothers here. The sad songs and ballads, I think, are some of their best work to date. Mama, I Don't Believe, No Hard Feelings, and particularly I Wish I Was and Fisher Road to Hollywood are just amazing, amazing tracks.
The stories here I thought were much more personal than in a lot of previous Avett Brothers work. Fisher Road to Hollywood and Divorce, Separation Blues, I thought really well exemplified that. They took their personal stories and still presented them in a very relatable way.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. It doesn't feel off-putting or too idiosyncratic for anyone to relate to. They could do a really good job of finding that balance between universal and personal.
After hearing Divorce, Separation Blues, I was like, damn, right on. I haven't even been married.
Well, yeah, that's the point, right? A lot of people haven't been divorced, but everyone's been through a breakup, and they can still make it a song that people can relate to. All right, those are some good highlights. What about lowlights, Derek?
Lowlights, I think some of the new sounds that longtime Avett Brother fans are not accustomed to might be jarring at first.
To that point, I do have a couple of lowlights. As much as I respect their ambition for trying new things, I think there are a couple here that are a bit awkward and don't work out so well. Number one, the programmed beat on You Are Mine has never really sat well with me. It's always just felt out of place. Avett Brothers have a very raw, natural sound. So when there's something really electronic, it doesn't feel right for them. And then secondly, Ain't No Man. While it's sort of a fun, catchy song, I feel like it's a little too poppy, a little too superficial. I love that they started the album with that, and the album's called True Sadness, and it's this fun, in-your-face song. But the track itself just doesn't do a whole lot that I can really sink my teeth into. Well, that brings us to overall rating and answering the big question, how will the Avett Brothers' True Sadness make you feel? Derek, what do you say?
Kevin, I'll start with a big question. And, I'm not really one to talk about emotions, but I think this makes me feel, what's that word? Happy? I think that's what they call it. True sadness made me feel happy. Underneath a lot of the difficult, life-changing events, I think there's an undertone of perseverance and staying true to oneself. I liked the exploration of sound here. I like that they tried different things. They're just really starting to step into their own. This is still strongly Avett Brothers to me. Just kind of a different story and told through different sonic elements. I'm still really enjoying this one, even despite some of the sonic peculiarities you pointed out earlier. So that's why I'm giving this one a 4 out of 5.
Right on. To answer the question, how will the Avett Brothers' True Sadness make you feel? I think kind of like your first beer. A little weird at first, but more and more comfortable over time as you get used to it.
Kevin, what happens if you get too much of it?
Only good things. But to talk about rating the album, I think, the band sort of announced it as a patchwork quilt, and I think that is a completely valid description. They do what they've always done well, even better here, and I think they're getting better at pushing their own boundaries. While there are some new sounds that might throw you off at first, they're getting better at making them not do that and making them grow on you. I think on a past few albums, we've heard some experiments that didn't work out so well, and I think more of them work out here than don't. So overall, I'm going to agree with Derek and give this one a 4 out of 5. That makes a combined 8 out of 10 for the Avett Brothers' True Sadness. So definitely check out this album and let us know what you think about it. Hopefully it doesn't cause true sadness on your part. And thanks for watching here at Last Week's Album. Don't forget to subscribe to us either on YouTube or the podcast. As always, I'm Kevin.
I'm Derek.
We'll see you next time, guys. Cheers.